Welcome to week 3 of the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. I'm your host Chip Hare. With us is Coach Bill Neese. And Coach, tough one last Friday night. The Indians drop a tough one to Franklin, 21-7. Two, again, very good teams. Again, playoff teams, back-to-back weeks. Had some good runs, had some good opportunities, but they came out really, particularly in the second half, we weren't able to counter.
Yeah, it's been a tough 2 weeks for us, but like I told the players this week, I said the good thing is we've held together. We're still tough. We're still focused on what we want to do this year, and these 2 games are going to get us better. We're going to look back at some point this year, and we're going to thank whatever it was that had us play these 2 games, because we're going to be stronger for it, and hopefully it's going to carry on to bigger things for us.
We are not in unfamiliar territory. This is the position we were in last year. We were 1-2, and the Indian Nation remembers we rattled off 6 straight and really got a good momentum with that first game being against West Carrollton. But before we talk about West Carrollton, just a little bit about Friday night. A couple things that really stood out. It was we fought through again, as the Indians do, till the end of the game. We countered with a couple plays that we got called back on touchdowns, and that takes, whether the call is right or wrong, that takes a lot out of your sail in the first half.
I think the big one was, number one, where we had about a 94-yard draw call back. Then we came back and had another touchdown called back. I don't know if I've ever been in a game where we've had 2 touchdowns called back, in a game. And we were able to deal with that. I think all told, we lost maybe 170 yards in total offense, which, when you look at the stats of the game and the time of possession, it favored them immensely. But, as you look at a couple of those things, I thought that we probably should be able to have fought through that a little bit better, because a couple of times it wasn't really necessarily something that always is called, so to speak. So I'll make that as nice as I can. So as a thing that we have to do, you can't let that bother you, though. You have to move on, because in the game, there's a next play. You got 25 seconds. Stated, the case best we could, and then we had to move on. And through a series of things, they had a couple turnovers, and we could have capitalized on them. I thought right off the bat when we intercepted the ball in the end zone and we brought it down and had a short field on the offense, that kind of took the sails out of us a little bit, or wind out of the sails, when we were not able to to cash in on any points, and ended up and had to punt. The
one other detail to that is we talk about one little thing can just be a domino effect. We had a lineman out Friday who was ill, and throw a guy who has to put in a different position, and this guy has to play that position, and we're not making excuses, but that comes down to us having to make adjustments. So right from the get-go, we had to make some adjustments before the game even started.
It's always nice to be. That's why summer's always so fun, because everybody's healthy. No one gets hurt. As soon as the season starts, you're always going to have a ding here, a ding there. And we found out that he wasn't going to be able to play, Thursday night. And it does domino effect, because then it's we had to put a new guy here, and somebody had to play both ways. And that's never good when you're playing a team that hasn't lost a regular season game in 2 years. That's always a tough one.
Well, the Indians look to rebound, and they play their first game in the GWalk of the year in the crossover. Go down to West Carrollton, a familiar foe that we played, of course, last year. It's been a few years since we've gone down to West Carrollton and played, but it'll be nice to get back into GWalk action and get this, as I would imagine, to get back to the basics of what pickle football is all about.
Definitely. And we came out tonight. We had a good, solid, fundamental practice tonight. Did some good conditioning, and we're just trying to get. There's 2 or 3 guys that we're trying to get healed up. We got a couple offensive linemen that are dinged up with a sprained ankle. We want to get them healthy, and I think that's going to be big. I think we made some progress defensive line wise. We got a little bit more depth. I know we've got 2 freshmen playing for us right now that are giving us really quality reps and quality depth. So we're excited about that part of it. And, once we get everything rolling in the right direction, I think we're going to be fine.
What can we expect to see from West Carrollton offensively and defensively?
Offensively, they run what is called the Academy offense, and by that I mean it's an option-based offense with motion, and Army runs it, Navy runs it, and the Air Force runs it. So it's something that also Xenia runs. So we're going to see it 2 weeks in a row. So on offense, they run that. They don't throw the ball a lot, but they can throw the ball. They have a 6'6" quarterback. On defense, they're a straight 50 defense. Play a 4-deep umbrella. So we're going to have to, try to work our short passing game probably a little more, see if we get some people open, some route combinations in front of those guys.
Defensive line schemes, I hear you guys talk about that quite a bit just behind the scenes. Anything different that we're going to see this week versus what we've seen the last couple weeks?
Defensive line wise,
Yeah.
I think just personnel probably a little bit more. We'll still play a 4-man front. I know we've mixed around a little bit with a 3-man front, but generally we're going to stick with a 4-man front and just play our 3 deep defense. We'll probably play 3 more. I know when first couple games we played with 2 safeties, but I think now that everybody's healthy and everybody's rolling in the right direction, we'll be back to our normal defense.
So what's the message to the team this week as we get back into not just a GWalk play, but hey, we want to get back to just taking one game at a time?
That's the message. The message is always, we operate on a weekly basis. We have 7-day lifespans here, and we win a football game and we're a hero for 7 days, and we have great confidence and there's great love in the atmosphere and everything's good. And then when we lose a game, we have 7 days where we're going to question a couple things. We're going to make sure we go back, re-examine everything. We're a little bit more tenser, a little bit more grumpier, so to speak. And that's good because I'll tell you what, there's some places where you lose a football game and they can forget about it by the time they get out in the parking lot after the game. Around here, we lose a football game, especially 2 football games, and it stays with us for a little bit longer than most people.
Well, there's no question. You can tell the guys, and just in talking with them in the hall and in the classroom, they are. They don't take it lightly, and I know they're really looking forward to getting back.
They should, and I'm glad if, like I said, if we get in a position where people are able to recover from that pretty quick, I'd rather be able to tell them, hey, we got to get through this, rather than, hey, does anybody care that we lost 2 in a row? I think that's the message.
Well, I know the Indians will look forward to getting back to wins starting on Friday night at West Carrollton. Speaking of guys who help us. We've talked about Congdon and Bushnell, who are keys for our senior group. I'll talk a little about them and how their leadership has helped us, not just this year, but just throughout their time here at playing at Piqua.
Well, the thing about these 2 guys is they're probably 2 of our fastest guys on defense, and I think our defense this year features a lot more speed than it has in the past. Not great size, but greater speed. And Jacob's been a starter back there for, it seems like, for 3-4 years. Very solid for us at corner. He runs track, excellent in the classroom. And then Jimmy is an undersized linebacker that just plays his heart out and very rarely misses a tackle. And it was an all-conference performer for us last year. So they give us a lot of performance. We get a lot of mileage out of those 2 guys.
Guys that play in positions that may not necessarily get a lot of glory or a lot of highlights, but really key positions and making sure that machine keeps moving.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they're 2 perimeter guys, and in today's game, when everybody's spread out and running around and throwing screens and throwing all these different route combinations, I think it's very important to have 2 guys out there that can get out there and run and make tackles.
Coach, thanks for being with us today, and we'll come back for the second half. We're going to talk to Mr. Congdon and Mr. Bushnell, and we're going to talk a little bit about their goals and where they see the Indians being, and we look forward to seeing you on the second half of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. Welcome to the second half of the Bill Nieces Coaches Show. I'm your host, Chip Hare. With me is Jacob Bushnell, and senior, who is going to be featured here. Jacob, thanks for joining us here on the Coaches Show.
Nice to be here.
Wide receiver. You have had quite a career here for the Indians and capping off your senior year. Tell us a little bit about what your goals were coming into your senior year, what some of the expectations you had, A, as a team, and then B, as an individual.
Coming into the season, expectations are always high. We got to bounce back this week. We're trying to make it to the playoffs, so 7-week football season left. Right now.
1 week at a time, certainly, and this team has been in this situation before. Last year we were 1-2, rattled off 6 straight before playing Troy in Week 10. We know this team is capable of doing that. We know that because we can do it, we've done it before. As a senior, what's the different perspective that you have going into Week 4? Now we're 1-2, to get back on that winning track. From your perspective, what was different now as a senior than versus a junior?
Well, as a junior, you had the seniors leading you, of course, and now as a senior, we got to be the people responsible for bouncing back and helping our younger teammates get back into the flow.
Let's talk about some of your highlights that you've had. You've had some outstanding games for the Indians, not just this season, but in previous years. What are some of the highlights personally for you? What is it like playing underneath the lights here at Alexander Stadium, or just for the Piqua Indians in general?
Well, it's great. It's something you dream about as a little kid, and whenever you grow up and finally get to do it, it's just what you dream it to be.
In particular moment or time that stands out to you as a highlight for you?
Yeah, it was fun making the playoffs back in my sophomore year, and I'm excited that we're going to get back there this year.
Yeah, it's a great attitude. Jacob, we love to sit here and talk about football the whole time, but we also know you have some other, in what may be your main sport, depending upon who you talk to or what maybe time of the year for you it is. Why don't you tell the Indian Nation here a little bit more about what you do in the spring?
In the spring, I run track, and I'm a sprinter. I run the 100, 200, and 400. And yeah, I really do like track.
You actually have gone on some college visits for track. What schools are you looking at this point in time?
Right now, I'm looking at either running for Case Western or running on a club team at Ohio State.
Ooh.
And I've also gone on a visit to Xavier.
What are some of your majors that you're looking at?
Civil engineering. I want to be a civil engineer.
So what's your thought process down the road? What do you want to do with a civil engineering degree?
I'd like to get a job somewhere in the Cincinnati or Columbus area and work on tall buildings, bridges, stuff like that.
Maybe it's not a secret that your family is connected with Bushnell's Towing and Collision, and talk a little bit about how that has been in the family business, because I know in the summers you worked with them and Dad being a former player, had to be neat to, it's kind of in the family a little bit, but for you, working the summer there, have you got any good experience of things you wanted to do or things you didn't want to do?
I just go in there to get some hours and clean the shop up a little bit for my dad, just help him out a little bit, but it's not really something I want to do the rest of my life.
Dad being a former player, do you guys ever have conversations about what was it like when he played and, carrying on the legacy? And
Oh yeah, all the time. It's always football talk in the Bushnell household.
The season, certainly this week, we got West Carrollton. What are some things that we got key in on to get that win on Friday night?
We just got to get back to the fundamentals, get back on track to where we were in week one, and get back to the fundamentals.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you spending time with us, and I know that the Indians, with your help, will put ourselves in position to get back on win number 2 and put us in that saddle for taking one game at a time.
Yep.
Jake, we wish you certainly well this week, but the rest of your season and certainly in track season.
All right, thank you.
That's going to do it here for the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. Reminder, the game is Friday night at West Carrollton. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock. That will be the first game of the GWalk season and actually the crossover. So we look forward to the Indians getting back on the winning track. For Jake Bushnell and Coach Bill Neese, I'm your host, Chip Hare. We'll see you next week.